Hello, my name is Mike Rayner, and this video is how to create a remote desktop connection from Windows 8 to Ubuntu 13.04. The outcomes for this video include installing xrdp in Ubuntu, installing a Gnome-session-fallback in Ubuntu to work with xrdp. For VirtualBox users, demonstrate the network settings required to have both computers on the same LAN or local area network. Also, how to obtain an IP address from Windows 8 and Ubuntu 13.04 computers. Although you can use computer names, if you don't have a name server at home, you can use IP addresses, and this eliminates one area that there could be some errors. Finally, remote desktop from Windows 8 to Ubuntu 13.04 and create a text file on Ubuntu in the Windows computer. Now, one area it does not cover is keyboard mappings. If you're using a different language in English, then that may present us some problems, and you may have to check on the internet for solutions. Requirements: Windows 8 operating system. Windows 7 should work with this setup. Ubuntu 13.04 desktop. Ubuntu 12.10 should work. I've got a different video on how to get Ubuntu 12.04 to work with Windows 8 and 7. So you should check that out if you're working with Ubuntu 12.04. Both systems should be on the same LAN or local area network, and both systems should use the same keyboard mapping, the same language. Otherwise, that could be a problem. Additional info: you've got the xrdp site, Gnome-session-fallback, there's a question and answer session in Ask Ubuntu, and then remote desktop in Ubuntu 12.10. This link has xrdp's keyboard setup links if you have a problem with that. All the information I provide is the best I can and as up to date as I can, but sometimes I may not catch everything, so I've got a disclaimer. First step in making Ubuntu 13.04 a remote desktop protocol server is to install xrdp. So we'll just simply go here. If your terminal's not showing up, you just simply type terminal term, it will show up, and then open that up. I'm going to put this up here at the top left here. And simply go to sudo apt get install xrdp. You can't really get this through the software center. And this should install fairly quickly. And the second thing is we need a fallback 2D desktop. For this, we'll go to apt get install Gnome-session-fallback. Now this will take a little bit longer. Now we need to create a file so that when we log in, it will fall back to 2D for the remote desktop protocol. In order to do this, I'm going to use the default text editor, get it. And in this file, simply key in Gnome session space and then 2 dashes session equal Gnome fallback. Now we're going to save this in our home directory with the name of .xsession. So we go to, in this case, this is Mike, so only Mike will be able to use RDP on this computer. So we're going to call this file .xsession. Now you'll notice there's xsession old and xsession errors, but make sure it's just plain xsession and click save. And if we want to check ourselves, we could go back to our terminal and we'll do an LSA, and you'll notice that it's there. And if we want to check what's inside it, we'll do a cat.xsession, and you'll see that it's what we've written. Now we'll restart the computer here. Go over here and restart it, shut down, and I'm going to show you one thing that's going to happen on the restart when you're going to see some options for a Gnome session fallback. but the Unity desktop is still going to be your default desktop. Here we are on the Ubuntu 13.04 restart. You'll notice we have this little icon here, and if I click on it, it says Gnome fallback, no effects, or Ubuntu default. So that's going to come in with the Gnome-session-fallback. But if you just key in normally, and your desktop will appear in Unity, shouldn't be any changes. So there's your normal Unity desktop. One quick thing I want to point out for people that are working with VirtualBox is that on your network setting for this remote desktop to work, when it says RDP Ubuntu RR02, well, it has to be set to bridged adapter. The reason it has to be set to bridge adapter is that this allows the computer to be on the same network or same local area network, and allows the computers to find each other. If you set it to NAT, they'll never find each other. And so both the Ubuntu computer and the Windows 8 computer, in my case I'm using two virtual machines to demonstrate how to do this, should have the bridge adapter setting. If you're using hardware machines, just make sure they're on the same local area network. Here I have Windows 8 and Ubuntu 13.04 running side by side. One of the things I'm going to check before actually making the connection is that both of these are on the same LAN. The way to do this is, in Windows, you want to check your IP address. In this case, I'm going to use Windows PowerShell. I'm going to use IP config. In this case, it's 1.21. In Ubuntu, I'm going to use the terminal. And in this case, I'm going to use if config. You'll notice that both of them have, this is 192.168.1. They're both on the same LAN because the first three sets of numbers are correct. Now, let's go make the connection. Everything hopefully should work right. Let me get this, and in this case, I'm going to remote desktop connection, and in this case I have to use this number right here. At home I don't have a name server, so I'm going to just connect to 168.1.1.22 and click connect, and the remote desktop connection thing is going to come up, and it's going to ask for my login to the Ubuntu. Click OK. And this is the remote desktop into Ubuntu. Now this is the GNOME fallback session. Now, if you notice back here, I'm still logged in on the Ubuntu machine with the Unity. But with the GNOME fallback session, I have to go here for applications. But let's verify that I'm going to have this is going to work. So I'm going to go to the Office right here and go to LibreOffice Writer, and basically I'm going to put something in this document. Call it test connection, file, save as, and I'm going to put it into documents, and I'm simply going to call it test connection or testcon. Bring this, click on save. Now one thing that you have to get used to here is when you log out, there's no way to log out here. So what you're going to have to do to log out, you're going to have to go to Applications, Accessories, go to Terminal, put in GNOME session quit. This is how you're going to have to log out of the remote desktop from Windows 2. Hit enter. You're going to log out. Now I'm back in Windows over here. But let me close this, actually close this and minimize this, get rid of this window, and then here I am completely in Ubuntu, and I want to check and make sure that I have a file here. So I'm going to go to LibreOffice Impress. Where's Writer? I'm going to open, go to Documents, TestCon ODT, open, and there's a test connection document. So if your network settings, everything on your network is set correctly, you may be able to access your computer from outside your local area network. This is one reason why you need to have firewalls set on router and maybe even on your own local computer. So one thing I'm going to show you is how to turn XRDP on and off. So to turn it off, you would simply go to your terminal, sudo service xrdp stop. Right now the XRDP server is turned off. To turn it back on, we simply put on start. If you want to restart after making some configuration settings, you don't want to completely turn off your computer, you can simply say restart. So basically the way it's set right now, the remote desktop protocol server will start every time you start your Ubuntu machine. Because you can access your Ubuntu computer from outside your local area network, make sure you have all your security settings established on both your router and your Ubuntu machine. So that's pretty much it for showing you how to remote desktop from Windows 8 to Ubuntu 13.04. Thank you.